President Cyril Ramaphosa's war on corruption is not just a slogan, it's a battlefield, and right now, South Africa is standing at a dangerous crossroads. The legacy of state capture still haunts the nation. Billions looted. Institutions hollowed out. Trust shattered. But Ramaphosa, cornered by public anger and international pressure, has declared an all-out assault on the shadow networks that bled this country dry during the Zuma years. This is no ordinary political cleanup. This is a high-stakes operation against entrenched power, where every move has consequences and every silence speaks volumes. Ramaphosa's rise to power was built on the promise to restore integrity, transparency, and justice. But what does that mean in a country where corruption has burrowed deep into the DNA of government institutions, SOEs, and even provincial administrations? When Ramaphosa took over, the air was thick with cynicism. People didn't just want another politician with a nice speech, they wanted arrests, asset seizures, resignations, and results. The Zondo Commission became the battlefield where truth met lies, and South Africans watched as witness after witness exposed the rot. Gupta-linked deals. Bogus tenders. Officials who moved millions with just one signature. What began as testimony turned into national trauma. But unlike many before him, Ramaphosa didn't brush it aside. Instead, he took the Zondo Commission's mountain of findings and began converting them into a blueprint for justice. It started with new appointments, trusted, independent minds to lead critical institutions like the National Prosecuting Authority and the Hawks. The Investigating Directorate, previously dormant, was reactivated and given teeth. Ramaphosa knew that real reform couldn't come from headlines. It had to come from courtrooms, from budget lines, from contracts that were no longer fattened with ghost expenses. A digital procurement system was rolled out to track every rand. No more paper trails. No more backdoor deals. Every transaction now leaves a footprint, and those who still try to play the old games are finding out the hard way that there are consequences now. More than 1,500 corruption-related cases are under active investigation. Senior officials have been arrested, and in some cases, convicted. Asset forfeiture units have frozen properties, seized luxury cars, and traced offshore accounts. Whistleblowers, once left out in the cold, are getting legal protection and access to security. There's a growing sense that the tide is turning, even if slowly. The era of impunity is cracking. But this is South Africa, where the line between political survival and moral leadership is razor thin. Ramaphosa is walking that line daily. Inside the ANC, not everyone cheers his anti-corruption crusade. Some fear what a truly empowered NPA might uncover. Others argue that he's moving too cautiously, that the moment requires radical fire, not careful negotiation. And that's the paradox. Ramaphosa is not a populist. He's a strategist. While the public demands swift justice, he plays the long game. He knows that one wrongful arrest could backfire. That an unlawful conviction could unravel years of legal groundwork. So he builds brick by brick, slow, deliberate, often criticized. But the architecture is there. A whistleblower protection agency is in the works. The ANC's step-aside rule is being tested in real time, forcing powerful party figures to vacate posts when criminal charges arise. And through it all, Ramaphosa remains mostly composed, rarely emotional, always deliberate, fueling the debate: is he too soft, or is he just disciplined? Yet one thing is undeniable: the landscape is shifting. Journalists who once exposed corruption alone now find themselves backed by institutions willing to act. Civil society has returned to the front line, collaborating with state bodies to flag procurement fraud, tender rigging, and ghost projects. Universities are helping with forensic audits. Young legal minds are being trained specifically to prosecute high-level corruption. This isn't a moment. It's a movement. Still, Critics are not wrong to be skeptical. The ghosts of Zuma-era looting are stubborn. Key figures remain free. Some trials drag for years, bogged down in legal tricks and deliberate delays. Whistleblowers still face threats. And for many citizens, daily life hasn't changed. Potholes, blackouts, and broken clinics remain painful reminders that justice on paper doesn't always reach the streets. That's why this fight matters. It's not just about recovering stolen money or jailing the corrupt. It's about rebuilding faith. About proving to the public that clean governance isn't a myth. That democracy can protect its people, not just enrich the powerful. Ramaphosa knows his presidency will be judged not by his speeches, but by his impact. That's why the pressure is rising ahead of the 2026 elections. Will voters see a man who rebuilt institutions, or a president who moved too slowly to stop the bleeding? Will the ANC back him all the way, or buckle under internal resistance? These are the questions that define not just his leadership, but South Africa's future. And that's exactly why SA Unfiltered exists, to cut through the noise, the spin, and the surface-level stories. Because we believe South Africans deserve more than just headlines. They deserve truth, clarity, and context. If you want to stay ahead of the political game, if you want the real